Good noon to all. I again welcome you all to the second session, first day, 5-day program on waste technologies. Expert of this session is Dr. Manjeet Bansal. Let me take the privilege to introduce you all with the expert of the second session. Dr. Manjeet Bansal is working as professor at GZS CCET MRSPTU Batinda and also since 2017 holding the post of Dean Consultancy and Industrial Linkage MRSPTU Batinda. He has done his PhD from NIT Kurukshetra. He has experience of 27 years in teaching and research. Under his guidance, 5 students have completed their doctoral research and 5 are in still progress. He has also guided 119 MTech cases. He has 61 national and international publications in different journals. 6 books have been published and edited by him. He has 166 citations. He has been actively involved in various consultancy projects. Now I would like to request Dr. Bansal to start with his lecture.
A very good afternoon to all. So, am I audible, Sunita?
Yes, sir.
Okay. A very good afternoon to all. So, first of all, I want to congratulate Department of Civil Engineering, Gyani Jail Singh Campus College of Engineering and Technology, MRSPTU Bathinda, for organizing such AICT sponsored short-term course on the current burning topic, that is waste technology. So, secondly, I want to thanks Dr. Rakesh Kumar Singla, who is representing the department as in the position of head of the civil engineering department of this institute. As well as I want to thank Dr. Balkrishan, who is the Dr. Balkrishan, Engineer Sukhdeep Singh, Engineer Sunita Kotwal, who are also associated with organization of such this wonderful course. Now, I now will focus on on this topic, that waste technology. Why this topic is a current burning topic, need of the hour? Because all we know that whenever we talk about waste, so then there is a lot of problem throughout the world for this disposal of waste. How to tackle this waste, either in the disposal form or how to control it. You can talk any of the waste. If just I will discuss about the waste technology in 5 to 10 minutes. Either you take solid waste management, solid waste. So in big cities of different countries, it may be US, it may be Canada, so it may be Australia. So solid waste is a big challenge, is a big problem. Similarly, you can talk about your electronic waste, hazardous waste. So that's all the types of waste. Either it is medical waste, hazardous waste. That's a tough task. That's a challenging task. Now, when we all the developed countries, and there are 2 categories if we talk about the countries. One category is developed countries. Second one is developing countries. So, as far as developed countries are concerned, like your US, Canada, Australia, and all others, so they have very latest technologies as far as waste technology is concerned. That waste may be solid waste, that waste or that waste may be in the form of air pollution. They have very latest technology to tackle that. Now, as far as we are concerned with our developing countries, like our country, our nation, India, is a developing country. So we are in the struggling stage as far as waste technology is concerned. So like our cities, Bombay, metro cities, Bombay, Calcutta, Delhi. So there is a lot of problem. There is a lot of challenges to tackle all these types of waste. So this is a current burning topic. Now again, I congratulate and thanks Department of Civil Engineering, Dr. Rakesh Kumar Singla ji, Dr. Balkrishan ji, Engineer Sunita Kotwal, Engineer Sukhdeep Singh, who are both Sunita and Sukhdeep are working day and night for the successful organization of this course. So this course will be definitely successful with their constant efforts. Now I start with this topic, wasteland management in India. So first of all, why this topic is important? Why I want to discuss this wasteland management in our country especially? Because as far as our country is concerned, all the problem starts from one thing, that is population. All the problems, whatever we have in our country, the basic root of all these problems is population. Population explosion, which all you know. So as far as this wasteland is concerned, why this is important topic in our country? We have only 2.4% of world's geographical area. We have only 2.4% of world's geographical area, whereas we are sporting. Whereas we are sporting world's 16% population. We have only 2.4% of the world's geographical area, but we are sporting the 16% of the world's population.
Hello, sir. Sir, kindly share the PPT, sir. We cannot see the PPT, sir.
Okay. Just one minute. स्क्रीन तो शेयर होगी, लिंक में वो करना पड़ेगा ना। तो मुझे दिख नहीं, लिंक से ज्वाइन करना नहीं, जहाँ लिंक पे आपने पहले लिंक भेजे थे, यहाँ पे लेक्चर चल रहा है, यहाँ पे आप करेंगे ना शेयर या प्रेजेंट। आप प्रेजेंट तो कर दिया, यू आर प्रेजेंटिंग। दोबारा एक बार स्टॉप प्रेजेंटिंग करके दोबारा करें। अब दो जगह से स्टॉप प्रेजेंटिंग। अच्छा नहीं दोबारा इधर है नहीं है ना, थोड़ा ऊपर है, दोनों अलग अलग इसमें खुला हुआ है ना। ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਓਪਨ ਹੀ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਹੈ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਸਿਰਫ ਉਹ ਕਰੋ, ਮਿਨੀਮਾਈਜ਼ ਕਰੋ। ਹੁਣ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਜਾਓ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਕਲਾਸ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਸੀ ਨਾ, ਆਵਾਜ਼
We will be connecting with all the participants very shortly.
So now, am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
it
sir.
is audible, sir. Yes, it is audible.
Now PPT, you can see now. You can see easily the PPT.
Yeah, we can see easily PPT. Fine.
Okay, okay. So now I will start. Sorry for some technical problem was there. That is why my PPT was not presentable to you. So I was starting discussing the topic why I have taken this topic, wasteland management in India. So as far as our country India is concerned, because we are a part of a developing nation, so all the problem starts from our all the problem starts in our country from population. So as far as this wasteland concept is concerned, we have total around 2.4% of Earth's geographical area. So as far as our country India is concerned, we have total 2.4% of Earth's geographical area, but we are managing 60% of the world's population. So similarly, we have total 0.5% of the world's grazing land. This I am concerning about cattle population. So just we have total 0.5% of world's grazing land, but we are managing and supporting 18% of world cattle population. So from these two figures, that is we have 2.4% of Earth's geographical area and we are managing and supporting 60% of Earth's population, whereas we have 0.5% of Earth's grazing land and we are supporting 18% of Earth's cattle population. So from this we can easily see that how we are managing these resources like land. Now the next important thing comes, why our country, in contrast with our country, this topic wasteland is important. First issue is because of the tremendous pressure on the resources like land due to the wide variation in comparison with world's resources availability and world's population, either those are of cattle or human beings. So first thing is that is the reason why most of majority of the land is converted into wasteland, because of the over exploitation of the land. Similarly, because of the overuse of the land. Second one is when a useful land or a important land is converted into wasteland, then the next important challenge for our country is to reclaim that land into useful land. Clear? So this is why I have taken this topic. So in this slide, I have shown that what we will discuss in this lecture, various topics which we will discuss. So this is the first that we have discussed why I have taken this topic. So basically, this slide shows that what is the concept of wasteland. So basic, all we know, basic things are there, that this is the most precious resource earth as far as land is concerned. So we meet our all the demands, either they are concerned with our food or all the things we all get from the this land. So the basically unproductive lands or wastelands, they are converted into this wasteland due to various natural causes as well as anthropogenic causes. So natural, as the name indicates, it is clear. When we talk about anthropogenic causes, so these are the man-made causes. Because of the human activity, we also listen a number of times that this greenhouse effect is there, global warming is there. So all these are the anthropogenic causes, that is the man-made causes. So next slide shows that what is the philosophy, how we can, in the earlier discussion, we
Sir,
have
excuse me,
discussed.
sir. Excuse me, sir. Please
Yes.
share your slide. Next slide, sir. You're not
Yes.
sharing your slide. Next slide. Next.
What is the problem?
Next, you want to share the next slide, sir. Slide.
Yes.
That actually you are on the first page and we are expecting
first page. You are in the first page.
next slide, sir.
Please, Sukhdeep, what they are?
Actually, sir, you are on the first front page of your slide, sir, presentation. So they are expecting that you show the next slides as well, sir.
No, no, they are not getting the next slide.
No, no,
दूसरे स्लाइड को देखना है, दूसरे स्लाइड को देखना है हमको.
तो वो आ नहीं रहा.
No, sir, we are seeing only your first slide, which is the heading slide, waste land management in India.
What is the problem?
सर, आपको नेक्स्ट स्लाइड देखना पड़ेगा सर. आप नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. We want next slide.
सर मैन्युअली स्लाइड्स चेंज कर दीजिए.
Sir, please use presentation mode.
Yeah, it's right now.
Yes, sir, we can see now.
Are you watching full view?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now you can see the next slide.
This introduction is visible right now.
Now what is wasteland? You are that is visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Thank
okay,
you.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, okay. So now the there are a lot of disturbance. Okay, it's part and parcel of this routine. So now the next topic comes. What is a wasteland? So we have discussed a lot, but according to definition, the barren or degraded land, which is barren or degraded means which is not useful, which do not fulfill their life sustaining potential, means they are not able to meet the purpose for which they are. So that is known as your wasteland. Clear? So again, another definition is that any type of land which because of neglect, overuse or degradation by climatic or anthropogenic factors that we have discussed. Third one is one board is there who is dealing with these types of wasteland concepts. That is board made by Government of India, National Wasteland Development Board. National Wasteland Development Board, Government of India. So that defines wasteland as the land which is presently degraded and is lying unutilized. Clear? Except current fallow due to different constraints. What does this mean? That according to this National Wasteland Development Board, Government of India, the definition of wasteland is the land which is presently degraded and is lying unutilized. Second one is accept this current flow. What does it mean? That if we have kept some piece of the land for some specific purpose, clear, due to different constraints, so that will not cover this. So basically, from this discussion, we conclude that wasteland is the land which is presently not in a form which we can use for our purposes. So next slide shows that how we can classify this wasteland. So these wastelands can be classified into mainly two categories. Then we can further sub-classify. One is cultural wasteland, another one is non-cultural wasteland. So what is the difference between these two? Cultural wasteland means which we can convert into useful land very easily without much difficulty. Clear? Sometimes this cultural wasteland is converted into useful land with their own naturally, and in comparison with the non-cultural wasteland, that is wasteland which we cannot reclaim easily, which we cannot convert into useful land is not easily. So very energy is used to make this useful land. Similarly, sometimes with the input of lot of energy, we are not able to convert that land into useful land. So this is the basic difference between culturable wasteland and non-cultural wasteland. Then further sub-classifications of this wasteland, one cultural and non-cultural. Further subdivision is according to your picture. So different types are there. One is gullied wasteland. We will discuss one by one. Second one is steep sloping area or undulating uplands where land is not leveled. Third one is waterlogged, salt affected. So this we will discuss one by one in the next coming slides. Second category is your non-culturable wasteland. So in the non-culturable wasteland, one is your barren rocky area, second one is your steep sloping area, third one is your snow covered or glaciers areas. So now in the first categories of your cultural wasteland, so as the picture is also explaining the things, that your gullied or ravenous wasteland. So basically in this case, gullies or small holes are formed. Why? Because of due to concentrated runoff. Basically how we can define a runoff? When rainwater flows over the ground. So that water which flows over the ground after the rainfall, that is known as runoff. So if the runoff is with high speed and concentration of runoff is also high, so that causes the erosion of the soil, and that results into the formation of your gullied wasteland as clear in the picture. Then second one is your steep sloping, as the name indicates, or undulating uplands. You can easily see in the picture. So the land portion which is not suitable for your cultivation purposes due to their slope. Clear? So similarly, undulating, how it is converted into undulating, due to, again discussed in the above method, that due to the wind erosion as well as accelerated water. So second category. Third category, as you can easily see in your picture also in presentation, waterlogged area. So what do you mean by waterlogged? As the name indicates, waterlogged area is that area where water remains. So always water remains. So means that part of the land which remains submerged in water throughout the year. Clear? So that if in a common sense we can have, if some part of the land remains in water throughout the year, so that is not, we cannot use that land for any purposes, specific purposes. So that is our waterlogged area. Then fourth one is salt affected lands. So as you can easily see in this picture, salt affected lands. So what are the salt affected? As the name indicates, means the part of the land which is affected by the salt. We cannot use that part of land for our useful purposes. Clear? So these salts may have their deposition on the upper layers of the soils. Clear? So that is again converted into your wasteland, culturable wasteland, that we can easily convert into useful land by removing that top salt layer. Clear? So this is the fourth classification of our cultural wasteland, that is your salt affected land. Then your fifth one is degraded forest land. So degraded forest land, as you can easily see in this picture, degraded forest land. So what happens sometimes, due to excessive removal of forest, for our specific purposes. So just almost total forest land is converted into skeletal of various bushes. So that area we cannot use for cultivation and for some useful means. So that is known as your degraded forest land. Means degraded forest land means the man has used that forest it for specific purposes, and only remains are bushes and all other things, skeletal of bushes and all other things. So that land also comes under the category of your culturable wasteland. Means we can easily convert that land into useful land with some energy. Then the sixth point is shifting cultivation area. So shifting cultivation area, what happens? So you might have listened about the tribal people. So what the tribal people does, like you might have listened that some people are, जो पिछड़े लोग होते हैं, जो जंगलों में रहते हैं, ट्राइबल लोग, वो क्या होते हैं कि sometimes they have for 6 months or 1 year, for one season, they stay at one place, then they move to another place. So when they when they stay at some place for some months, for 6 months or 1 year, then they start cultivation to that area. So then that land is converted into useful land. But when they move from that place to another place, then again that land part, that piece of land which they have used for their agricultural purposes, that again remains open, and again that is converted into wasteland. So this pattern is known as zooming cultivation. This type of cultivation which we have discussed, this is known as zooming cultivation. Then next one is our degraded land. So what does degraded land means? That degraded land means that there are areas under permanent grasses where cattle or animals grazes. So basically these are converted into undulating lands with the, as picture is also showing, because of the overuse by the animals, trampling of the land by animals, similarly soil erosion of the upper soil, so that again converted into wasteland. So one term is there in the earlier slide, shifting cultivation area, गडरियेस हिंदी में होती है जनरली, जो गडरियेस होते हैं बेसिकली वो एक जगह से दूसरी जगह मूव करते रहते हैं. For some time they stay at one place, then after some time they move to another place. So that is this zooming cultivation. Then eighth category, in contrast with your culturable wasteland, is mixing or industrial wasteland. So because of the use of some for mining, all we know, that picture is also showing that we got a lot of material by mining. We get sand also, we get various minerals also. So with the over exploitation of the land for mining purposes as well as for some industrial purposes, so that piece of land converts into your wasteland, and that is culturable wasteland with the least efforts we can convert that into your useful land. Then the ninth category of your cultivable wasteland is land with or without scrub vegetation. So scrub vegetation means, as that is clear in your picture in the slide. So basically vegetation is generally dominated by the main trees. So if that land is dominated by the your bushes or all the which is not useful, especially for animals as well as for some man's purposes, so that also comes again this category. Then the 10th category which comes under the cultivable wasteland is degraded land under plantation crops. Degraded land under plantation crops. So monoculture agriculture lowers the soil fertility. So monoculture, what does monoculture means? That one type of crop, like in Punjab, in one season wheat is sown, wheat is grown, in another season rice is grown. So if we go for that monoculture, so that basically lowers the soil fertility value. So that is again a category of your cultivable wasteland. Now these are all categories of your cultivable wasteland which we can convert into useful land part with the help of least efforts or sometimes without any effort. Now the second category comes your non-cultivable wasteland. So in the non-cultivable wasteland we will discuss these three categories. So basically this non-cultivable wasteland is that which we can reclaim with extreme difficulty or we cannot reclaim at all. So it means this is that part of wasteland which we can convert into useful land part with the help of some energy, or if we put all the energy, then it is quite possible that we will not be able to convert that non-cultivable wasteland into useful land. Clear? So these are the three categories. One is your barren rocky area, second one is sandy area, third one is snow covered or glacious areas. So as the name indicates, barren rocky area means presence of big and small rocks. You know? So if a particular area, a particular land area is a rocky area, so we can easily see in the rocky area we cannot grow anything. You know? So we cannot make anything. So that again comes under the categories of non-cultivable wasteland. And if the rocks are of small size and the part of that land is covered less with rocks, then we can remove those rocks and can be converted into useful wasteland. And if the particular topography of that area or presence of rocks are very large, then we will not be able to convert that into useful part of the land. Sandy area, you know, because this generally found in the near river beds or seashores. So that again we are not able to convert into useful part with less energy. Similarly, third part which happens in glacier snow covered, because this happens in hills. You know, so basically throughout the year, these types of areas, this type of land covered with the snow throughout the year. So generally that is not useful for agricultural purposes, and we cannot convert it into agricultural purposes with all of them. So these are the three categories of your non-cultivable wasteland. So now the next very important question comes that what is the philosophy behind this wasteland formation? Why this wasteland is formed? So basically the main causes of wasteland formation are, first one is our soil erosion that occurs due to high speed of wind. Similarly, soil erosion occurs due to main two reasons. One is high speed of wind, second one is high speed of water. Because of these two reasons, soil erosion takes place. Second reason, second cause why this occurs is salinization, alkalinization, inundation of the land area.
Hello,
So,
Monty sir. Sir,
yes,
I am interrupting this. Sir, due to sir someone presenting his tab, sir, your presentation is very small now, sir.
so please, Sukhdeep,
Sir,
look into the matter.
Sir, you are requested to kindly pin the PPT of Dr. Manjeet Bansal again. There is option given in to pin. Kindly pin again, sir.
So, second cause is salinization, alkalinization, and inundation. So, salinization, as the name, from the name, it is very clear that due to the excess presence of salts. Alkalinization again due to the various salts which are alkaline in nature that is present. Now, what does this inundation terms? So it means if the top layer of the fertile soil, erodes due to air and water, that we have also discussed in the earlier, that top layer of the fertile soil, which is very useful, if that erodes due to high speed of your wind and water, then this type of problems occurs, and that results into the formation of wasteland. Third one reason, which is very important cause, which is responsible for formation of your wasteland, that is our natural factors like tsunami. Clear? So all you know what is tsunami. That is basically a earthquake that occurs in the water bodies like sea, floods, tidal actions. So all when they come with high their magnitude and intensity, all these things, tsunami or floods or tidals, so then the result is that lot of a large piece of land is converted into wasteland. Similarly, anthropogenic activities. So, anthropogenic activities are those activities for which the human being is responsible or man is responsible. So, for anthropogenic activities like improper agriculture practice. So, here one thing I want to mention in terms of excess uses of fertilizers. So, just I will take 5 minutes. When some revolution comes, people becomes very happy. That's a big thing. What happened in the earlier 1960s? Green revolution comes in our state of Punjab. So then government of India as well as all the people of Punjab were very happy that the yield of the crop has increased tremendously. And government of India at that time was very happy because they were having the challenge to meet the growing demand of the food, because they was having a big challenge that how they have to meet the growing demand of all foods either in wheat form or in rice form. So all were in the jubilant mood at that time, all were in very enjoyable mood that green revolution has done wonders as far as yield of the crop is concerned. Similarly, people of Punjab were also happy because they were getting more return. They were getting good money, all the farmers. But now what happens after 50 to 60 years of green revolutions? Our Punjab is now suffering after effects of that green revolution. Basically, our institute, which is organizing this short-term course, we are located in there are three different areas of Punjab. One is known as Malwa region, one is Doaba region, and one is Macha region. So we are located in Malwa region, our Bathinda district. So throughout Punjab and especially in Malwa, when green revolution comes, our farmers are basically very hard-working persons. But the hard luck is that all farmers are illiterate. So they understand that if we will use more fertilizers, if we will use more pesticides, if we will use more chemical fertilizers, then our yield of crop will increase. What happens? Philosophy, because it was not masses, it was not one-to-one understanding that if we will use the fertilizer and pesticides in exact amount, whatever the crop or whatever that agriculture required, so they were not aware. They constantly using more fertilizers, more pesticides, excessive use of pesticide fertilizers. What is the result nowadays? Our surrounding areas, Malwa region surrounding area, a number of villages are suffering a very chronic disease like cancer. And there is a lot of research going on why this cancer cases are on a high in this particular area. So a lot of research is going on in one of the reason which is coming on the surface of earth, why the cancer is on a high rate in this area. So there are so many reasons which the researches are, various researchers are found. One of the reasons is also excessive use of fertilizers and pesticides. So similarly, groundwater of this area is not fit for drinking. Clear? So basically, if we will use the excess use of pesticides, if we will use excess amount, either fertilizer, so basically excess amount enters into our food chain, and that affects the human health. So why I am explaining here? So whenever something comes, the good effects we see easily at that point, but bad effects after some years that we are suffering from this area. So this is some of the causes which we were discussing: excessive use of pesticides, monocropping, improper disposal of industrial waste. Now, one more thing I want to explain here: improper disposal of industrial waste. So in this, there are some industries for which the various bodies like State Pollution Control Board, Central Pollution Control Board have laid down the guidelines that they various parameters have to be within the permissible limit if they want to dispose in water bodies, and the permissible values are different if they want to dispose on the land. What is happening in reality? All the industries, whether they are of nickel plating, chromium plating, any industry, paper industry, they are not treating their final waste, their wastewater. They are not treating their wastewater properly. Why? Because if they have to treat their wastewater, their industrial wastewater properly, then they have to spend a lot of money, and that reduces their profit. And the industry people are not ready to spend more money. So then what happens? They are disposing their final effluents, wastewater, without giving proper. I'm not saying they are not giving the treatment. They are giving the treatment, but they are not giving the treatment up to the level which is required. The parameters are not within the permissible limits. So without giving proper treatment, they are disposing that in the nearby water body or on land. What happens? Water body, the quality of water body again goes on. Quality of water body in which they are disposing their effluents, that becomes deteriorated. Similarly, land part on which they are disposing, that land part also becomes a part of wasteland. One practical example I am telling you: in our Punjab state, Ludhiana city is there. I think all of you might have listened that Ludhiana city is famous for hosiery industry. So in that Ludhiana city, one Buddha Nala is there. So around Buddha Nala, there are various industries which are dealing with electroplating industries. Electroplating industry means they are plating various heavy metals on those, like nickel plating, chromium plating, copper plating. So after their process, they are disposing that waste without giving it proper treatment to the Buddha Nala. So all these metals which are generally used for plating, you know, they are nickel, chromium, copper, all are the heavy metals, and all these metals are heavy metals. They are carcinogenic. They causes cancer. They are non-biodegradable. Whenever they enter into food chain, they affect the DNA system of the human being. So, so what is happening? So the quality of that Buddha Nala is again deteriorating. So I am explaining you a practical example. Clear? So this is what is actually happening in the reality. So then next slide. This is next slide is visible on your screen. Please.
Yes, sir. It is visible, sir.
Importance of wasteland or need of wasteland reclamation. So in this slide you can easily see that why we have to reclaim it. So basically, if we will convert into useful land, so this will become the source of income for various rural people. Because why? How? Because that wasteland which we have converted into useful land, so rural people can use that part of the land for their agricultural purposes, with the help of which they can get good income. Similarly, provides help in maintaining ecological balance. How? Because if we will convert wasteland into useful land, so some agriculture, some plantation will be there, and all we know plantation and other trees will help for soil erosion as well as water soil erosion due to wind speed as well as water speed. Regulates the local climatic conditions. If more trees are there, more plants are there, so that controls our climatic condition, that controls the your temperature. Because if more greenery is there, so temperature of 1 to 2 degree variation is always there. Clear? Similarly, if that land waste land is converted into useful land, so then with the help of that, people living in that area can use for their fuel or other purposes also. And the last is that if we converted into that part of wasteland into useful land, then soil fertility of that part of the land is also improves. So now next important slide is that how we can convert this wasteland into useful land. The name is wasteland reclamation. So how we can convert this wasteland into useful part, that is our wasteland reclamation. So basically this process is conversion of the wasteland into useful land or into fertile land suitable for various purposes like agriculture, vegetation, all these. Clear? So how we can reclaim these waste land? This we can do with the help of three methods. So one is your topography and soil management, another one is water management, third one is your crop management. So first one is your soil management. You can easily see in these slides. From the picture it will be very clear. Soil management. So filling of gullies and leveling. So if there are some holes, then we can fill those, and we can, if there are undulations, then we can make that land leveled, and we can use that for specific purposes like agriculture and all. Similarly, terracing. How we can define terracing? This is clearly, you can see this happens in your hilly areas. So this method is used in hilly areas for agriculture. Clear? Third one is scrapping. scraping in this slide you can easily see. We can, if there are salty layer, top salty layer, so we can easily remove that salty layer with the help of scraping as shown in your slide. Flushing as the name indicates, flushing means we can use water with high pressure. For the removal of various water soluble salts, we can use high pressure water. So that as the name indicates, flushing. Then the last topic which is shown in the last slide, that is your deep plowing. Deep plowing means the land that is normally used for farming, but now it is a wasteland. So if we want to convert that into useful land, or we want to reclaim the wasteland, so we can use this deep plowing, as you can easily see in this picture, deep plowing. Then next one is drainage. So some soils are there, some part of the land is there which is waterlogged. No? So we can make arrangements for drainage of that part of the land in two methods, subsurface drainage and underground drainage, as you can easily see in this slide. Drainage to convert your waterlogged soil into useful soil. Clear? So then this one, addition of green manure and soil amendment. This is again a very important point. So addition of green manure and soil amendment. So in this case, here one term is used, that is legume crops. This here you can see legume crops. So first of all, I want to explain that the soil which we have, that should be high, or that should be rich in NPK values. NPK, what does NPK represent? N means nitrogen, P means phosphorus, K means potassium. So that should have high or rich in NPK value. So basically this legume crop which is shown here, legume crop, that is which contains nodules, जिसको हम हिंदी में गांठें बोलते हैं, that nodules or गांठें contains bacteria, or these are that contains bacteria having nitrogen. So basically this, under this topic, addition of green manure and soil amendments, we add or we plant some plants which is having nitrogen. So to meet the deficiency in NPK value, that is your nitrogen, phosphorus and potassium. Third one is your wind breaks. So wind breaks, as you can see in these slides. So basically wind breaks means this method is basically useful for soil management having loose, dry, sandy soil. What happens if we have a particular area of loose, dry, sandy soil? Then whenever wind comes with high speed, so then that results into the soil erosion. So to reduce that effect of soil erosion, generally various trees are planted on the boundaries of the wastelands or banks of the water courses to reduce the effect of your soil erosion. Then the next one is your silt trapping dams. So these are again in this picture you can see silt trapping dams. This is again also one of the effort to reduce the soil erosion and water pressure on the soil, so that we can manage the wasteland into, we can reclaim the wasteland into useful part with the help of soil management. Then last two topics of the soil management is your contour furrowing and mounding and mulching. So this contour furrowing, this you can see here in this picture, and mulching you can see in this picture. Basically in this contour furrow, so basically these are made to allow water to remain in contour or to move at very slow speed, so that soil erosion may not take place because if water will stay there, that will increase the infiltration of water clear in the soil, and that will reduce the soil erosion which occurs due to high speed of wind. Mulching is again a method in which mixed grass, as you can easily see in this picture, mixed grass is there on the topsoil, which maintains the soil moisture and reduces the soil erosion. So this was how we can convert a wasteland part into useful part of the land by using various means of the soil management. Second category comes your water management. So in the water management, basically it again comes in three categories. Water management, one is your irrigation, second one is your protection, third one is your damage. So in this damage, here it is drainage, please make correction, it is drainage. So as far as water management is concerned, three heads are there: irrigation, protection and drainage. So we have to conserve water in all three means. When we are using for irrigation, so then we have to use the various means of irrigation, with the help of which we can save water. We have to use various techniques of irrigation with the help of which we can save water. Similarly, in protection, water conservation will come. In drainage, the removal of excess water. As we have discussed in the waterlogged area, so that comes. So addition of water in irrigation, you can easily see different means are there. So you can easily see in your slide also. This is basically your sprinkler irrigation. This slide shows. So out of these methods mentioned, sprinkler and drip irrigation are the two techniques which is used by most of the developed countries for the water saving purposes. Clear? So we should motivate these techniques of the irrigation, that is sprinkler and drip irrigation, for our irrigation means. Then conservation, there is again some of the terms. Conservation of soil moisture, we already discussed a number of methods. Again, clear. Graded mounds are also one of the part to conserve water. Water storage in ditch means there is some depression. There is some depression in the earth part of some part of the land, and we store water in that depression part of the land, and that water which we store during the rainy season, we use that water in the summer season when the water scarcity is there. The third one is drainage, we have also discussed, because this covers your removal of excess water. Like if we want to convert the waterlogged area into useful land, so this comes under that category. Then here comes crop management. So this is again a very important topic, crop management. If we are able to do proper management of the crops, then we can achieve that task. So he says, so if we want to reclaim wasteland, so we should grow those crops. We should grow those crops in the wastelands which requires minimum rate, which is having minimum rate of transpiration, which requires minimum nutrients, and their tendency is drought tolerant. They can easily tolerate the drought period. They have minimum rate of transpiration, means they have the minimum water requirements. Similarly, they have minimum nutrient requirements. So we should grow those crops in the wasteland to reclaim the wasteland. Now examples of those plants now I will discuss. One is your amla, anola, that is known as amla, and another one is example is jatropha plant. So basically this amla is a minor subtropical tree. So it can withstand all the drought conditions, and it can grow in a neglected regions also. This amla is high rich in vitamin C. All of you might be knowing. This amla is high rich in vitamin C, And nowadays in COVID-19 period, all you know that immunity of your body, immunity of your human body plays a very vital role in fighting with COVID-19. So for that, this vitamin C plays a very vital role for increasing the immunity. So this amla plant, which grows in a very in a conditions which is favorable for wasteland. So this plant is very useful. Similarly, next one is Jatropha plantation. So Jatropha plantation, Jatropha is again a plant which is useful for biodiesel production. So this is also a very useful plant which can grow in the very odd circumstances, which requires minimum water, which requires minimum your nutrients. Clear? So this is something about your crop management. Now the next slide shows your wasteland scenario in India. As far as we are concerned, our country is concerned, where we stand. You know. So this slide shows clearly that where we stand throughout the world. So basically, as far as this area is concerned, wasteland, so different agencies have made their different assessments. Why the results are different? Because different agencies have used their different methods and different classification systems. So that is why this data is different for different agencies as far as wasteland scenario in India, in our country, India is concerned. So this is a wasteland classification scheme in India. We have divided into eight categories. Wasteland we have classified into different 8 categories according to ABCDEF, GH. So in this slide you can easily see that we had classified into different categories according to this slide shown in your PowerPoint presentation. This slide is taken from Wasteland Atlas of India 2010. So this slide shows some of the facts of wasteland in India as far as Wasteland Atlas of India 2010 are concerned. So this data shows, this slide shows about the Indian scenario as far as wasteland is concerned. That how much, this slide shows various states data like Himachal Pradesh, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Nagaland, all northeast states are there, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram. So this slide shows the Indian scenario as far as wasteland is concerned. This slide again shows the data according to Wasteland Atlas of India 2011. So how much area of our country, how much useful land part of our country is converted into wasteland. This is a map which shows the wasteland scenario. This is again shows wasteland change map. Now this slide is very important. This slide is very important. Why? Because in this slide we are showing that how we are able to convert this wasteland into useful part. From here you can easily see that in 2000 the total wasteland in hectares it was around 6,38,518. In year 2000, from this slide we can see in year 2000 the wasteland part was 6,38,518 hectares, whereas in year 2010 this from 6,38,000 this area reduces to only 41,000. So it means in our country India a very energetic and lot of efforts are going on to convert the wasteland into the useful land. Clear? Similarly, if we talk about state-wise, in Andhra Pradesh, in year 2000 the figure was wasteland figure was 51,750 hectares, whereas that reduces to 700 only. From 51,000 it reduces to 735 in year 2010. Similarly, for other states also, we can see from this slide that the speed with which our country is converting wasteland into useful land. That's a positive thing. That's a very good thing. The speed with which we are able to convert that wasteland part into useful part. This again different states. From this slide are Punjab. In 2000, the wasteland part was 2,228. Now it's 0. So means all the wasteland which was there in 2000 in our state of Punjab, that is now 0. No wasteland in Punjab. Similarly in Odisha also, in Rajasthan, in Nagaland, Tamil Nadu, Tripura. So that's a very good news. Data we get from this we get Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education. So lastly, we come on the last slide, that is your conclusions. So from whole discussion, one thing we can conclude that due to more due to anthropogenic activity, due to man's activities. I will also say due to natural activities, like in the form of your earthquakes, in tsunamis, so that also plays a role in also volcanoes. But main majority part is due to man's activity. So the land degradation is increasing day by day. Clear? So when we talk, especially our country India, so in the starting lecture, why for our country India very important to convert this land into useful land, because already we have 2.4% of the geographical area. In comparison with world, we only have the 2.4% of the geographical area, but we are tackling, we are managing the 60% of the world's population, human population, world's human population. Similarly, we are having only 0.5% of the world's grazing land, but we are managing 18% of the world's animal or cattle population. So this is the reason why we have to make more speed, we have to accelerate more speed for conversion of this wasteland into useful land as far as our country is concerned. So this is all about your wasteland. So anybody have any doubt that we can discuss? Thank you all. Again, special thanks to Head Department of Civil Engineering, Dr. Rakesh Kumar ji, Dr. Balkrishan ji, co-coordinator of this course, Engineer Sukhdeep Singh ji, co-coordinator, and Engineer Smita Kotwal, who has given me a chance to share my views on this topic wasteland with all of you throughout the country. Okay, thank you all. Now we can have some questions, some queries.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. We can have a few questions, sir. Sir, first question is from Mr. Nitin Das. He is asking that why scrub vegetation is adopted, though it degrades soil fertility.
I'm not clearly audible. I'm not able to listen your question. So please, if it is possible, you can send in this chat box the question, because voice is not audible to your voice is not audible to me.
Sir, questions are available in the chat box, sir. You can.
Okay. I can see. First question is why scrub vegetation is adopted though it degrades soil fertility. So I want to clear here, scrub vegetation is not adopted. this vegetation occurs by self means जो scrub vegetation झाड़ियां हैं जो उगाई नहीं जाती जी अपने आप ही हो जाती हैं. Clear? Second answer is how wasteland is different from wetland. Wetland is a part of wasteland. Wetland is a part of wasteland. This is not different. If we will classify, if we will take that waterlogged area or so, wasteland, wetland is a part of wasteland. Then next question is your, what is this one? Your third question is what is arid region and semi-arid region? Very interesting and good question. So semi-arid conditions are where almost 400 mm to 600 mm rainfall is there. Means medium rainfall is there. And arid region is totally dry, where less than 300 mm rainfall occurs. That is there. Difference between arid and semi-arid. Arid means dry area where less than 300 mm rainfall is there annually, whereas in semi-arid it is in between, above dry, so where 400 mm to 600 mm rainfall occurs. Clear? Then which factor is a major contribute to wasteland formations? So basically, why wasteland wasteland formation? We discussed a number of reasons. So main reason is because of the soil erosion. Soil erosion that occurs due to your high speed of wind and water. So that is the main factor. With the help of this soil erosion, a useful land part is converted into wasteland. Then the next question is difference between salinity and waterlogging area. So in the water, basic difference between salinity and as far as waterlogging area is concerned, so in that waterlogging area, water may be saline, water may not be saline. When we talk about salinity, so we talk about saline water or saline topsoil layer. I am again repeating, when we talk waterlogged area, so that waterlogged area may be that water which is present in that area, that may be a saline water, that may not be a saline water. And whenever we talk about salinity, so salinity means we talk about only the saline water or saline soil. So okay, so thank you all. We will again meet at 3:30.
Sir, thank you so much, sir, for your valuable and knowledgeable lecture on wasteland management. Thanks to all the participants for attending both the sessions and also for their patient hearing. Now it's time for lunch break, and we will again meet at 3:30 p.m. instead of 3 p.m. for the third session. Thanks to all.